Welcome to the latest and potentially greatest episode of Iokua Hates Everything. I'll be trying a new format this time around, forgoing a score-based system and replacing it with whether I recommend it or not, as giving the games a score always felt a little too mathematical to me. Anywho, this time around, it's Heavy Rain for the PlayStation 3. Heavy Rain is a rather flawed attempt by Quantic Dreams to create something that's not a game or a movie, but something out of each category. They call it an interactive drama, and that name fits, to a certain extent. If you've played Indigo Prophecies, their previous game, you know what I mean. It's one long series of quick time events that is wrapped up in a story. Now, thankfully this time around, they avoided having the plot just devolve into a clusterfuck of stupidity. Unfortunately, it is riddled with plot holes, which weakens the experience. Now, the gameplay itself is relatively simple. As I said, it's a quick time event type game. You push buttons at certain times. You, as Quantic Dreams calls it, unfold the control stick at various ways as you've seen on the screen so far. Tapping buttons, holding down different button combinations, timed button taps, timed movement taps, ones where you have to move the control stick very slowly, tapping the button a lot. It's just, when it all comes down to it, there's a reason why quick time events are looked down upon, why they're not considered to be the best thing you should really be including in your game, and making your entire game a quick time event doesn't always work out. Like, there's a lot of times where what you're doing in Heavy Rain, it's mundane and pointless. You don't really need to be doing it. Like this fight scene we're watching right now, it's one of a few in the game that, you know, where the quick time event really matters. This chase scene that's just started, and again, it's another one of the times in the game where, well, you could be doing this with regular gameplay, but the whole tapping buttons and moving at just the right time, it does add something to the experience. But again, there are about 4 sequences like this throughout the entire game that couldn't have been done any other way, and to be quite honest, it's a flawed delivery system when that much of your game feels like it should be done in a different way. What I'm showing you right now is one of maybe 3 parts of the game, because you don't use this particular ability very often, that feels like it fits with what they were doing. You're investigating a crime scene. You're tapping the R1 button to send out like an energy pulse on the ground using your augmented reality glasses device to find clues, and then you go back to your office and you use that device to analyze them. Unfortunately, only one of the 4 characters you play as has access to this device, and the rest, it's really just you walking around pressing down on the control stick saying, oh look, something on the ground. Oh look, something on the wall. I have to pick this thing up. It puts Heavy Rain at a disadvantage when it comes to the gameplay. It just, I don't know.
Please, Dad, can I have one? I would really love to have one. Please, Dad, come on.
Heavy Rain's plot is also a somewhat flawed experience. Right off the bat, one of the 2 inciting incidents, the death of the main character's eldest son, is almost completely unbelievable. Ethan, your main character, is at a mall with his family, and he buys a balloon for his son. And while he's paying the clown, the son runs off, leaves the mall, and gets schmucked by a car. Now, I know kids can get lost in a mall, but what kind of kid gets lost, and instead of trying to find help or to find his family, leaves the mall and crosses the street? It's an implausible event in a series of implausible events mixed in with the rest of the story. If you can ignore that little incident right there, just say, okay, whatever, 99 red balloons go by, and get along with that, it's just, there are a lot of incidents like this, minor plot holes where character A will suddenly learn something, and character C will follow up on that, even though character C is working with character B, and neither B or C know exactly how this happened. Now, this little bit amuses me right here. He's sad, so he has an emo beard. I mean, that's another one of those little details in the game that just kind of doesn't fit. Now, another thing that weirds me out is the game is very European. It's set in the US, and I don't know about most Americans, but as a Canadian, I don't have a room in my house where there's a toilet and nothing else. Like, nothing else. There's no sink, I can't wash my hands, all there is TP and a toilet. That's kind of weird to me. But it's just, the voice acting all sounds European, even though the story is, as I said, set in a generic American city based on Philadelphia near New York, but it was apparently also Springfield, Pennsylvania. Now, I've been to all three cities in question, and none of them look anything like Heavy Rain City. Why you have British people making up the entire population of this city, I don't know. Why there are so many French people, I don't know. It's just an example of Heavy Rain's developer, Quantic Dreams, either being too cheap to follow through and get proper American voice actors when they only really got one main character to be voiced by an American, and they didn't bother to fix plot holes, and they didn't bother to make sure the city looked proper. They just... the entire thing is just riddled with inconsistencies. I mean, the main character, Ethan Mars, has blackouts. They're a major plot event in the first half hour of the game, then suddenly they're gone. They just vanish, and they never explain why he had them. They just use them as a way to make you think he's the origami killer. And
I wanted to
it's just,
myself before getting started,
it just makes very little sense. And as I've said about the plot holes and the gameplay issues, there are also issues in the quality assurance testing of the game. I mean, this is an important emotional scene between Ethan and his ex-wife. And you have NPCs not only walking through your conversation, but right through your characters. Look at that. See, she walked right through characters. I mean, come on. And to make matters worse, the things you play in the game, this is a fucking sex minigame. Do I really need to see this? I mean, come on. It's just one of those things where I don't get it. Why would you include this? What is the point? Have them start making out and then fade to black. Don't make me take off her shirt or my shirt with button combinations. I mean, ugh, there are kids watching. The last major flaw and biggest flaw in this game would have to be the controls. Holding down the R2 button has your character walk through the environment, and the control stick will move your player around. Unfortunately, they move around like a drunken monkey, and they're extremely impossible to control. Now, even with all these flaws and all these plot holes and gameplay issues, I recommend at least giving Heavy Rain a play. It's a good game, it's not a great game, but it's worth giving a shot.